Hey guys, Stealth here, and welcome to World of Warships. The weather is not great, but the weather is fair enough to have decent visibility. Anyway, we're here on the big race map, where I'm testing out my new Murmansk. This is a Omaha class cruiser, basically, in Russian service. It has some slightly different stats than the Omaha does, but overall it's pretty much the same ship. It's a pretty maneuverable ship, and that is exactly what I was testing out in this position. Because you see, the ship itself has some reasonable guns, but I do not really want to go up against all of these battleships on the enemy team. What I can go up against are the destroyers and possibly the light cruisers that are usually operating on this side of the map. They're usually down there. They're happy to go there because they have enough cover. They can quickly duck in and out of cover of the islands, while in the meantime firing off some torpedoes. The Omaha has the Murmansk has a very good rate of fire on the guns. The guns turn pretty quickly. I mean, it's no Atlanta by any stretch of the imagination. But overall, it's a pretty damn good ship. Now, as for the guns, you can see I have two on the bow, two on the rear, and a couple mounted on the sides of the ship. Not too many, not as many as the Omaha gets, but it works. And I do get a spotter plane. Now, first target's up, and considering the very good firing range of the ship, you can usually, in a map like this, try to reach the other side of the map. And I already hit that Koenigsberg and incapacitated one of his modules. I'm trying to figure out the lead on firing on this Wyoming, while still cruising at best speed. And best speed is fast for this cruiser, it's almost 34 knots. While cruising at best speed towards the area where the islands usually start and where you usually start to find destroyers. Couple of shots going in, put him on fire, and then the island gets in the way and I cannot see him anymore. As for the other ships, I'm just looking around, seeing what is coming my way. A Kirov cruiser would be interesting, because the Kirovs are not heavily armored. Now, Murmansk has the same problem, it's not very heavily armored, but it does have some very destructive armor penetration rounds, which will really hurt that cruiser if I can get the citadels. Trying to get some shots in on the Asakazi there. It's not the ship I was expecting, or at least I wasn't expecting the ship there, and I really only hit him once. But there's the other destroyer. There's a Clemson, who's currently under dive bomber attack. The Kirov is engaging. I'm not sure if he was going for me or for the Furutaka, but he definitely hurt me by doing that. My rudder gets knocked out, meaning I cannot steer, so I cannot have that. Not with a Clemson nearby, not with torpedoes in the water. I'm going to have to get that rudder back up. So, repair party popped. That means that if I start to take fire damage, or I start to flood, I'm going to be in a world of hurt. So, I'm just going to have to dodge. Now, switching to armor penetration here. These were the first HE rounds, barely doing any damage, but oh, he starts to turn. I'm letting him turn a little bit more, and there it is. First Citadel hit, 3,700 damage. In the meanwhile, I'm turning away, while he's turning still pretty much flat on, but the armor is just a little bit too thick, or his angling is too good for me to penetrate. Again, another salvo goes in, barely any damage really, 1,500. But I think he was firing armor penetration at me as well. A couple more rounds, and there it is, Citadel, 3,500 damage done. The Clemson, though, is also coming up right behind me. Another hit, a little bit of damage. I need to get a good Citadel penetration on this ship. There we go. He's down to 5.5. Well, I'm still very comfortably sitting at 15,000 hit points, and this Kirov doesn't quite have the same rate of fire that I do. He's down to 3,000, and I barely had to trade a lot of hit points with him. I only really lost, well, somewhere in the range of 11,000, while he went from full health to nothing. So, bad trade for him, great trade for me. One more shot and he's down. And right now I'm also trying to shoot down some enemy aircraft, as I have some enemy aircraft flying overhead, these torpedo bombers. Torpedoes are coming in. I jam the rudder to port as much as possible, slow the ship down, and narrowly avoid the torpedo. The Clemson, though, is still here. That destroyer is still trying to hunt down my aircraft carrier, And even though the aircraft carriers at this tier are not that spectacular as far as damage dealing goes, I really don't need them to get blown up. They're still damage dealers, they can still strike targets that are not quite safe for me to strike, such as battleships, so I really need him. Now I know he's in the smoke screen somewhere, so I use this little nugget here, the hydroacoustic search. It's the only thing you can get at tier 5. And although I don't think that the hydroacoustic actually got him, I do have eyes on this destroyer, who's just sitting there in his smoke screen, thinking he's safe. Well, not quite. Not against the rate of fire that the Murmansk has in store for you. Incapacitated him, and unfortunately he's turning flat on, just making it a bit hard. I'm trying to go starboard, trying to get more guns on target, just firing at the last known position really, and there he is. Now, guess what's going to happen? Clemson class destroyer. Destroyer's first response is usually fire torpedoes. So to make myself a much more difficult target, I just start turning and zigzagging, trying to get away from the torpedoes if there are any. Although with the hydroacoustic search, I will be able to spot torpedoes in the water. But it seems that this destroyer just, I don't know, it didn't fire. It did not drop any torpedoes. I'm not sure why not. Maybe he was saving them. Maybe he was hoping to torpedo the battleship here, the Mayogi. I really don't know, but for now, not a problem. In the distance there, this is Svetlana. Unfortunately, with all the islands in the way, there's not too much that I can do. What I can do is start to preload armor penetration, because these Svetlanas are very poorly armored. Armor penetration has been loaded, getting ready, and I'm trying to close the distance between me and the cruiser and between me and the battleship so I can help him out as much as possible. Because those Svetlanas, well, they have a lot of guns, and they have torpedoes. Torpedoes aren't great as far as range goes, but we still need to get this guy gone before he manages to hit the Mayogi too much. He is, however, on almost full health, 19,000 versus my 15,000. So I'm going to have to hit this guy hard, do a lot of damage to him, and hopefully get the citadels. He disappears, and there he is again. Shots going out, but I narrowly avoided the citadel there because my lead wasn't good enough. I take counterfire from the Svetlana. Suck and salvo on the way. Barely any damage, 1600. He's angling too much. Now, this ship, the Murmansk, has torpedoes. My torpedoes have a range of about 8 kilometers. The problem is I cannot really reliably fire them with a battleship right in front of me. I have seen some people do it. It usually doesn't quite work out, as you usually end up torpedoing your friendlies because they just are completely oblivious to you firing torpedoes. Now, I managed to get more and more shots in, but he's not going down fast enough. Switching back to HE to do whatever kind of damage is possible. I lost my torpedo tubes there, but the battleship took him out and loses his own life because he gets torpedoed. Now I'm down to 9,000 hit points. I'm trying to angle the ship as much as possible, trying to make myself a very small target, because from the front, this thing is not really that easy to hit. Although I did just lose another 10% of my hit points there. Trying to fire over the island at the Svetlana, still using still using HE, get more damage in. And that's when I park the island between him and me. They still have 4 ships, 2 aircraft carriers, the Svetlana and the Mayogi, all the way on the other side of the map. I can hit the Mayogi from here. I can hit pretty much everything on the map that I want to. And that's the great range of, not the great firing range, but the great firing range of this ship. It really makes it easy to hit whatever you like to hit. Unfortunately, that carrier has taken an interest in me, and because I was behind the island I couldn't hit the carrier, but now I can. And I'm in trouble, because I don't have defensive fire. I don't have the defensive AA fire barrage that you can get from the enemy, or that you can get at tier 6. And I got torpedoes all over the place. So, turning starboard as much as possible, avoiding one torp, turning the other way, and avoiding another torpedo. That was 3 torpedo squadrons that came in. I'm down to 1,000 hit points, and I know I'm never going to kill the Svetlana. So what I'm trying to do here is put as much fire into the Langley, put him on fire, preferably in multiple locations, and just try to do as much damage as possible. But what really saved me from those torpedoes is this maneuverability. Don't be a sitting duck. Just keep zigzagging with this ship. Keep turning, keep angling, keep making sure that you are as much of a problem for the carrier to hit as possible. I'm doing the same thing to this Svetlana now. Just zigzagging, turning left, turning right. And unfortunately, Svetlana has a lot of guns, but he's not a very good shot yet. Now, closing in on this cruiser is not really what I want to do, because my torpedoes will only be able to hit him at 8 kilometers range. And, unfortunately, he can keep trading shots with me longer than I can keep trading shots with him. So he is in torpedo range, but if I go to torpedo range, I'm going to have to turn starboard. And, of course, Svetlana would not let me get away with that. Still, this was one of the first matches that I played in Murmansk, and I was very, very happy with the performance. This is such a maneuverable ship. Really, really agile, and as you have seen, even if you get hit by 3 torpedo bomber squadrons, you can still make it out relatively safe, just by making yourself a hard target. Keep zigzagging, keep dodging, keep alternating your speed. Absolutely critical. Unfortunately, I just did not have enough armor or enough hit points to keep changing shots with the Svetlana. Now, let's have a look at the battle results. And here are the battle results. Not too bad. Got 3 Citadel hits in, 50,000 damage for a tier 5, not bad by my standards. 212,000 credits, 2400 XP. As for my team score, I scored first in the team. I managed to shoot down quite a few aircraft for a tier 5 cruiser, which does not have the defensive AA. But just look at the Bogue. 32 aircraft shot down. That guy must be running an air superiority fighter loadout. As far as details go, you get a really nice lineup of every ship that I damaged, and I damaged quite a few of them. I managed to do a bit more damage to that Wyoming initially than I had expected, for 1700. The Svetlana, not really that much, 2000. The Clemson, most of his hit points. The other Svetlana, 7900. The Langley, 9500. And the Kirov, that one really, really got hurt by the Murmansk for 21,000 hit points. As for the net breakdown, you will of course be spending a little bit on your warship. It depends on the type of consumables that you're running, if you're using premium consumables, premium camouflage, flags, etc. But for this result I got 195,000. Now, is this the best that you can do with the ship? Absolutely not. I have seen people do way, way, way better with this ship. So don't take this as, this is a super ship, but use this as a bit of a lesson of how you can use this ship to dodge torpedoes. Because you may not be able to shoot down the torpedo squadrons all at once, but you can definitely make life hard on them. Hope you enjoyed this gameplay. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below, and otherwise I'll see you in the next one.